it's really nice. It's so good to date someone with the same interests. It's so great if you can go to FNMs together. Like so great if you can draft side by side.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they make you draft on beta. Um, but,
Whoa! You mean someone isn't just a terrible person if they have like only the Magic Online beta client? That's it's not a thing. It's a
yeah, I
thing,
don't know if I
right?
could date someone who wants to draft on beta. Um, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, it gets a little bit tricky because it makes sense that everybody wants people to share their interests with them. Um, but it's more that letting it rather than just letting it happen organically, just and see if uh, see if it happens. That's great. Trying to like push it or trying to press the ladies who are your friends into it. Um, that's where that's when it becomes a problem.
So I could read some of the chat, you guys, or if you want to start checking
Yeah,
out the chat, Nathan
I
and Rada,
just
it's
checked
just
in with the chat
yeah,
now.
twitchtv.mtg. So some of the highlights of the chat here are sorry, I'm gonna play Moto and read at the same time. So I think some of this was trolling. Maybe not. No, here's some serious ones. So Beetleian said, I think I'm saying that right. Do you view these issues in Magic as being distinct from the larger game shop and comic book store, etc. communities?
Mm.
And then I weighed in already that I don't actually, and that I think these issues kind of affect all of us, and there's a big spread, there's sort of a web of, sort of unfortunateness going on that we're trying to talk about, and it's kind of the same thing in a Games Workshop store probably, or like I work in a comic book shop, so there's attitudes I don't appreciate from people who don't play Magic to come in there too. But then Rick Electric also weighs in and says, disagree with that sentiment, although I don't entirely understand this next thing. He says, serializing our sexuality in the stores and tourneys, like tournaments, exhausts the problem, and it furthers other people's.
I think he's saying that you don't want to just have a code where you just talk about games and never foster any relationships. I think that's what he's trying to get at.
Right.
Which I think we tried to touch on a little bit, where I said where if it happens, that's great, but it is primarily a gaming store, and that's why girls go to gaming stores, not to
Right. Well, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just.
But sometimes people.
You just need to be aware. If you're going to express your sexuality in a gaming store, you should try to think very hard about whether the person that you're expressing this to is feeling comfortable with it, and if they were expecting that to happen to them that day at that time. And if in your mind, in your best, honest, assessment of the situation is, you know what, I think this woman would love it if I asked her out, then go for it. And, just live with her answer, whether it's yes or no, and, move on, or go on the date. But I think we're talking more about something a little more insidious and ingrained, where these kinds of things happen without really even thinking about it. Thinking about whether or not this person wants me to talk to them in this way. And if they feel at all pressured, or if they feel intimidated, or maybe they're just trying to play some Magic and not really talk about anything else. But if they are showing signs, indications of true interest, then I think every situation is its own thing, So I certainly don't think that there should be a ban on dating in gaming stores, but I think just as long as everybody's really aware of what that space is designated for, then, I don't know. I don't have a problem with that. So.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent way to put it, Nate.
So non-creepy flirting is a whole topic we could go into for discussion.
It is. Yes. All right. So let me. Yeah, I'll just say the Yes All Women hashtag, I think, just really opened a lot of people's eyes to how crazy it is that we don't take women's basic safety needs for granted. They don't take it for granted, and we have a lot of blind spots about that. So, that said, I think that the patriarchy is also harmful to men as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you supposed to talk to the opposite sex? Is there a supposed to? What are we supposed to do with this culture that we've been handed, where there really is no progressive male movement that is compatible with feminism? It just seems like there's just so much antagonism and a lot of negative male voices kind of shooting down feminism as though it's total bullshit. And I don't know. I'm a little upset with that, but I do think men need a little more leadership for how to behave well and also feel satisfied and manly, without feeling.
No, that's true though. Yeah.
So, Rada, you're married. Do you feel like your husband feels like enough of a man just having gotten married? I mean, I'm married. It's your manliness doesn't go away when you have a functional relationship. I mean, what is it that guys need to hear? I don't know, that you might have wisdom from in your own relationship, or things that you wish men could do for each other or for women, or what do you think the male side of this issue is, and where should men direct their efforts to improve?
It's an interesting question. I haven't thought about it much, honestly. I think part of it is we have to rethink the idea of masculinity and think in more positive and good terms than things like dominance and things like power. I think I don't really want to speak on behalf of my husband, since he's not right here, so I don't want to misrepresent it. But I think for a lot of guys, finding this power outside of having power over your woman is a very healthy and good way to express your masculinity. Just being excellent at what you do, working out and being strong, I think are both very good and healthy ways to feel, like you say, manly and masculine without negatively impacting people around you. So I would recommend just improving yourself, because that will leave you feeling good. That will leave you with some of the more stereotypical masculine things. Like being strong, like being good at things, being successful, without having to diminish other people, which I think is a very negative part of masculinity.
Yeah, and men get on each other's case so much.
Yes.
That one of the problems, and I saw Felicia Day actually tweeted about this with respect to the Yes All Women hashtag, is the shaming of quote unquote white knights. That there's often in male communities, if you speak up for feminism, or you talk about a more progressive understanding of gender relations, you can be instantly labeled as a white knight, and
yes.
That you're only saying this so that you can grandstand morally, and because you want to get closer to women.
It's especially hilarious when people say it on Twitter, when someone is like,
yeah,
this is a Twitter white knight, and you're like, what, you think he's gonna get laid with this Twitter person?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of laughable. I kind of looked into it. I was like, what is the deal with this white knight shaming? I mean, it's something that I have been called before on Facebook threads, for instance. And I was like, what am I being accused of here? Oh, it's just having a feminist opinion. And this is be on a Facebook thread or in a room of people where everybody has a really loud, strong opinion about it. Yeah. And that if you have the feminist opinion, then you're a white knight, and you're just doing it because it's your way of getting laid, And I don't know. I just think it's sad that it goes well beyond the Magic community. You know, it's just the patriarchal culture in general that we live in can kind of create that atmosphere. And there's also another classic sort of male response, which is to say, look, this is just biology, you know?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's another great one.
Yeah, I see a woman, I get a hard on, I'm gonna try to have sex with her. What do you want, man? You know? And, you know, it's this food chain thing, right? We all have our spot in the food chain. And,
yeah, there's a lot of extremely awful responses to when someone calls out sexism. Like, guys will call him gay, guys will tell him he's just trying to get laid, call him a feminazi, just like, yeah, say that, or try to, like, give some, like, one tiny example of, like, where it wasn't like that. It's, yeah, people get extremely defensive like that. Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you, Nathan. In general, I think the white knight shaming is one of the most unhealthy for the community things that of men on men hate that I see on all sorts of social media.
Yeah, I think, and, you know, I've been a man my whole life, and I used to get bullied a lot in school, you know, and one of the things that came up, you know, is like I hadn't had sex with a girl, you know, there's like this virgin shaming, you know, there's, hey, sorry, my cat is just going insane right now. You're distracting me.
Hi, cat.
But yeah, you're trying to fit in with some friends, and you know you make friends with some guys, and there's just kind of an assumption that the cool kids are the ones getting laid. The cool kids are the ones who are dominant, who really just kind of let their testosterone out, and you know, there's often, with kids especially, kind of violent aggression against one another. And sort of man-on-man violence is kind of just okay, you know? I think man-on-woman violence is something that is, like, largely hidden from sight, and that people don't realize how pervasive and dangerous it is for women out there. But man-on-man violence is just out there, and it's kind of just accepted. You know, it's just like, you know, some guy punches me in the face. My job is to try to throw a better punch back at him. You know, it's, you know, I can't just claim victim status in, you know, in guy culture or whatever. So, the violence is a danger for everyone. You know, I think that, you know, I'm just wondering, like, what a yes all men hashtag would look like if it was like that's respectful, true. You know, and forward thinking. But
yeah, we could get intelligent people to use it for a little while. Yeah, yeah, that would be interesting. And I think you're right. I think it's especially predominant, like you said. You used to be bullied for things like that. I think it's more. It happens more with young people, and Magic community has such a huge young people demographic that I think that's why it's constantly an issue for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly, there's so many teenagers, you know?
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
And so many teenagers are doing great, and there's like a lot of people looking up to, you know. In Magic community, like, people look up to you if you do well, and most of the people who are doing really well are in their like early 20s, or even their late teens. So yeah, so they get this platform, and if they haven't grown up yet, and you know haven't really matured their views yet, I think that's very often.
Yeah, Rick Electric is saying that kind of managing this stuff, which is subversive and subtle, it's very difficult to manage, and I completely agree. You know, there's a lot of gray area to when something is appropriate and when to make hard and fast rules with which to be respectful to the other